Hey everybody, welcome to the GMG review. Today we're doing part 3 of the game assets that come in the 2024 Warhammer 40,000 Kill Team Hivestorm 2-player starter set, which was kindly sent along as a complimentary review copy by Games Workshop and is being reviewed by me. So this is part 3 because the rules for this game in this box set were kind of divided into 3 chunks. There was the core rulebook, which you can check out a review of today, the Hivestorm dossier, which is the rules for the 2 kill teams that came in this box, and then finally the approved ops card pack, which also comes in here, which is the what are you playing for part of the game. Now, this has become kind of a familiar thing with Games Workshop. They've been using these tarot-sized card packs for doing like seasonal content for Warhammer 40,000. They've just started with Warhammer Age of Sigmar, and now it's into Kill Team. And what this allows you to do is modularize your rule set. You can see a lot of learning from the 4th edition AOS launch being baked into Kill Team here, where they've basically punched out chunks of the rules. The core rules are one part, the kill teams are another part, and then the how you play and what you play for is the operation you're doing. Additionally, in the core rulebook, we have multiplayer ops and joint ops, which is the solo and co-op way of playing the game, as well as the like for fun group multiplayer arena deathmatch kind of version of the game. What is approved ops? Approved ops is the 40K version of this. It's the head-to-head tournament style we become used to from Games Workshop for playing Kill Team and playing like skirmish games of Warhammer 40,000. So what comes in this? Well, you're gonna get, it's funny because it's not a book, they've had these little bifolds. You get how do you play an approved ops mission pack, what is it? So 3 ways of scoring. The sort of like summation of what approved ops is you're playing for 18 points. There's 6 points available each different way, either from the crit op, it's the primary mission structure, typically turns 2, 3, and 4, you can score 2 points from it. There's the kill op, just kill your opponent. Based upon how big their team is, you will hit a kill grade. You hit the 5th kill grade if you're at a higher, you get a 6th point if you're at a higher kill grade than your opponent at the end of the game. So you will score a victory point if your team is 10 models. For every 2 models that you kill, for every 4 models you kill, 6, 8, then 10. So if you wipe your opponent out, you get all 5 points, plus you get the bonus point if you've gotten more killed models than them at the end of the game. Can be worth 6. The crit ops typically something like hold 1, hold 2, hold more. So the first 3 crit ops, which are transmission, loot, and secure, they're actually included in the preliminary ops, which is the only mission that's in the core rulebook. So core rules is just these, kill ops plus this, you can score 12 points. There are things like hold 1, hold 2, hold more. So in the basic crit op, you're putting 3 objectives down. If you secure those 3 objectives, which means you touch them for an AP, they belong to you until your opponent comes along and touches them back. At the end of every turning point after the first, you score 1 point if you hold 1 and 2 points if you hold more. So hold 2 out of 3, get 6 points over the course of the game. And then finally, you get your tac ops. Now, there used to be in the kill team dossiers, like team-specific ones. Those are all gone. You can only ever get these 4 now, and that's going to be recon, search and destroy, or seek and destroy, which is kill things, infiltration, and security. This is about keeping people in and out of zones or holding zones yourself. This one's about getting inside and doing things, so like getting into like certain areas and being present during the course of the game. And then seek and destroy is killing people in different ways, so like having a specific model kill something, killing something while you're in your opponent's deployment zone, and then pushing objective buttons that are in your opponent's half of the table or taking them away from your opponent. And then finally, we've got the putting stuff down, interacting with equipment stuff, which is recon typically. So like pick up items, kill somebody and confirm the kill, and then plant beacons, which is go put something in your opponent's half of the table. Every kill team usually has access to 2 of these. I believe it's seek and destroy and recon for the teams in this box set. So you won't be playing with these 4 out of the teams that come in Hivestorm. Now, the last thing that you can do to score additional points is you get what's called primary op. So you bet on which of these things you're going to do best during the course of the game. If you score more points from one of those 3 things, they're worth 50% more points. So if I score 5 points from kill op and my opponent didn't score 5 points from kill op, then it's worth an additional 3 points. I half rounding up the number of points I got. So in this case, 5 would turn into 6 because I got more, and it would be worth 9 overall. So you can effectively max out your score at 21 if you manage to get your primary, which you bet in secret before the game starts, and then you max out the points from your primary or get more than your opponent. And that's it. So 3 ways to score. This is very familiar with like Warhammer 40,000's like objective system. So this one's all game, this one's all game, this one's going to be the secret ones you're trying to do over the course of the turn. The one thing that I wish this came with, though, is 2 sets of these. So if you only have one of these cards, like there's enough TAC Op Secret Primary Ops card decks to show off, for 2 players to play. They give you 2 of each. There's not 2 each of these. So it's a bit difficult to reference these over the course of the game, and they're not printed anywhere else. They're not printed in the core rules or the dossiers. So you really each need to have one of these so that you can both pick Seek and Destroy, or you can both pick Recon. If you don't, cool, but you need to be able to do each of these twice, basically, for 2 players to be able to use this and use the full sort of like course of the game. Also, scouting only happens in here. There's no scouting rules in this actual core rule book. And you get your game sequence, set up the battle, select your operatives, set up operatives, do the scouting phase. This is how you determine who goes first in a non-core mission. And it's, you either get an additional equipment point, you get to move a model, reposition, but it has to stay within 3 deployment zone. Or you get to do a deploy for 0 CPs at the start of the turn. And they trump each other, just like they did in the previous edition. So if you choose equip, you go first over ploy. If you choose ploy, you go first over reposition. If you chose reposition, you go first over equip. And then last but not least, we get tons of maps for terrain. This feels very tournament-y, but the idea is that you know where to put your objective markers only by using one of these maps. There is a use your own terrain map as well, which just shows you the mission layout. So if you're using, let's say, the Octavius terrain pack, which was the Orc one, you could use that and then just pick from the objective layouts and try not to put the objectives on any of the terrain features. If you're using the Beta Decima terrain map, you get a terrain layout for that. If you're using the new Hivestorm terrain layout, you get terrain layouts for that. The most important thing is really where do you put the objectives, because those are where your drop zones are going to be versus where you're going to go out and try and like score points from your primary ops. Only ever 3 objectives on the table, and they're always laid up per the objective layouts on here. You also get Galadark. Although, honestly, I think this will be the least popular terrain map, mostly because it is such a pain in the ass to put the Galadark terrain together. Although I do love it. I love my Galadark terrain sets. They're just such a pain to make sit properly. Although I do have enough of it that we could probably run an event this way. So very handy for events and event layouts. No arguing over where terrain goes unless you're using the terrain layouts that are for your own custom kill team terrain. You get a identification chart for all the terrain pieces for the last 2 sets. So here's the Volcus one, here's the Beta Decima one, and then here is the Galadark one for knowing where to put everything. It does not use the expanded Galadark terrain, just the base set of walls. It's the same set from boarding actions. So if you have the boarding action terrain set, you actually have 2 Killzone Galadark kill team mats for doing that. And then you get a little universal map key for doing these things. So what do I think? Well, the nice thing about this is it makes the core rules a bit more evergreen. It means for the next 3 years until we get new edition of Kill Team, this can stay the same and they can just replace this with a 2025 approved ops pack. It's nice and simple. Once you've played it a couple times, and honestly, if you start off just playing the core book mission, the preliminary ops, you're gonna understand what the primary op and the kill op is anyway. This just adds TAC ops to that. That's all it really does. It doesn't add anything more complicated than, hey, here's some bonus ways of scoring 6 more points. My recommendation is, though, for your first few games, just completely ignore this card deck. Don't use it. Use the preliminary ops that are in the core book. And yeah, and just like, this is the most wordy part of this game right now still, because it's been written in kind of like tournament speak, and because it doesn't have the room to do more than what they can fit on these like foldouts. This is the part I would just fully ignore and just play the preliminary ops missions. Like maybe use the terrain layout from here, but I believe the core rulebook doesn't have any terrain layouts in preliminary ops. No, they give you a Galadark one, but that's it. Those are the joint ops, actually, sorry. They give you Galadark terrain layouts, but the preliminary ops mission pack doesn't give you any other terrain layouts. Just use the layout for the terrain and then just ignore everything else that's in that deck. I wouldn't even engage with it until you've played a couple missions of this, because that's gonna get you some fundamental understanding of how kill op works and how crit op works, and then really you're just adding in the TAC ops. So the nice thing about the core rulebook is it does kind of graduate the rules a little bit, and that makes it simpler for people to absorb. And if I could go back in time and redo the Let's Play for today, based upon just the core book, I probably would. It's like when I teach other people to play, I'll probably do maybe a how to play where we just use the core rules, because then you don't have to engage with any of this, and it just makes the game way easier. I do like the idea that this can be seasonal. I do like that it makes these books a bit more evergreen, at least for the next 3 years. They're going to like rotate stuff out over the next couple coming years. Yeah, and it's a good use of this kind of an asset. Honestly, these are probably cheaper to print, and I feel less crap about throwing them away than throwing away books when they become invalid, if I'm being honest. I don't care about cards as much as I care about books. So having this stuff stay and be kind of like more permanent feels better to me than having, you know, a book for every season that I then chuck out, like my General's Handbook. So there it is. These are the 3 pieces of rules that are in the Kill Team Hivestorm 3rd edition. It's like 4th, 5th edition if you count previous things like whatchamacallit, White Dwarf Kill Team and or Shadow Armageddon. But it all adds up together to be a fairly cool, competitive, optional, matched play, air quotes, version of Kill Team. And the models are fantastic. The product offer is great. Like, it's self-contained. You're playing full games of the game it's offering you to play. And the game is approachable in that you start with this book, add this book, come to this last. And I think you'll have a good time playing out of this box. So big thanks for watching. Big thanks for Workshop sending this stuff along to review. Until next time, I'm Ash. Have a great day.